I've been my childhood friend's sidekick and personal nanny for over a decade, all because my dad insisted, "You've got to secure a wife from the cradle." The whole school laughs at me, calling me the biggest simp of the century. The college entrance exams just ended, and the school heartthrob is standing there with a bouquet of roses, confessing to her in front of everyone. They're all just waiting to watch my heartbreak right on the spot. But our famously untouchable ice queen didn't even spare that guy a single glance. She just frowned, pushed her way right through the crowd, and yelled at me, "Let's go home and cook." I'm starving. The entire crowd went dead silent. Turns out, this gorgeous prize had already claimed my front door as her own a long time ago. The final exam bell had just finished ringing, and the entirety of Nanchang First High School practically exploded. Thousands of students were swarming out toward the front gates in a massive dark wave. The air was thick with the smell of sweat, mixed with that pure, sweet relief of finally being free. My name is Lin Feng. I was squeezed into that massive crowd, just drifting along with the current. Looking like a totally lost cause. Honestly, ever since I can remember, my dad has been brainwashing me. He'd always tell me I had to take good care of the little girl from the Su family next door, claiming that feelings built from childhood are the strongest ones. He even went behind my back and made a verbal marriage pact with her dad, Uncle Su, while we were still kids. They agreed that once we grew up, we become one big family. I mean, I didn't understand any of that complicated grown-up stuff back then. But my dad sure did, and he practically had my entire life perfectly mapped out for me. So, ever since the days I was still in diapers, my life has had this clingy little tail I just couldn't shake off, Su Qingxue. Man, she was an absolute crybaby when we were little. If she tripped, she'd cry until her voice went completely hoarse. If she couldn't figure out her homework, she'd sit there weeping for hours. And I was the designated poor sap whose full-time job was to hand her tissues, sneak her candy, and basically tutor her through all her homework. After surviving over 10 years of this, I went from a perfectly normal, cheerful kid, to being trained into a master chef who can cook both northern and southern cuisines. I'm literally an all-around butler now. I can fix the plumbing, do electrical work, and even unclog a toilet with my bare hands. Meanwhile, that little crybaby grew up to become Nanchang First High School's undisputed, totally unapproachable ice queen for 3 years straight. She's stunningly beautiful, barely says a word, and her grades have dominated the #1 spot year after year. The line of guys chasing after her could stretch from the school gates all the way down to the public restrooms 2 streets away. As for me, well, because I'm always hovering around her all year round, I was gloriously awarded the title of the biggest simp of the century. Yeah, that reputation spread through our entire grade like wildfire. To that, I just have one thing to say. You guys don't know jack shit. How the hell does this make me a simp? This is obviously just a paid babysitting gig. Well, an unpaid one, anyway. Hey, look over there. It's Qingxue Yan. He's walking right towards her. A loud gasp rippled through the crowd, like a stone dropped into a pot of boiling water. In an instant, every single pair of eyes locked right onto the school gates. There was the school idol, wearing a perfectly ironed white shirt, holding a massive, bright red bouquet of roses. Surrounded by a whole bunch of his buddies, he stepped right in front to block Su Qingxue's path. The whole setup looked exactly like a scene straight out of a romantic teen drama. Everything around us went completely quiet. Everyone was literally holding their breath. You could even hear the rustling of the wind through the leaves. I was stuck right there in the middle of the crowd. My temples heavily throbbing. Here it comes. I knew this day would finally come. Qingxue Yan, student council president, a ridiculously loaded family, and he looks decent enough, too. He is the undisputed Prince Charming for basically every girl in this school. He has been chasing after her for 3 solid years. Rain or shine, he never once gave up. Today, right as the entrance exams wrapped up, he was clearly ready to pull out his ultimate move. Qingxue, the exams are finally over. You're finally free. Qingxue Yan's voice was deep and magnetic. He dropped to one knee and held out a bouquet of roses, his eyes practically dripping with affection. From the very first moment I saw you, my whole world has revolved around you. Will you be my girlfriend? Oh my god. The girls around him instantly erupted into screams, their faces flushed red with excitement. It was like they were the ones being confessed to. Countless gazes swept over to me, absolutely dripping with schadenfreude. I could clearly feel the pity in their eyes, mixed with the thrill of waiting for a good show. Look at Lin Feng. He looks absolutely sick. No kidding. The girl he's been simping over for years is about to be snatched up right in front of him. You'd look sick too if you were him. Ha ha ha. It's the end of the line for the ultimate simp. Quick, get it on camera. This is absolutely iconic. Meanwhile, I stood there completely expressionless. Inside, I didn't feel a single ounce of jealousy. Honestly, I kind of wanted to laugh. They all thought I was heartbroken. But in reality, I was praying for someone, anyone, to hurry up and take this high-maintenance princess off my hands, so I could finally be free. I could stay up as late as I wanted. I could eat instant ramen whenever I wanted. I'd never have to rack my brain over perfectly balanced, nutritious meal plans every single day again. Just thinking about it, I actually wanted to give Ji Yuyan a round of applause and yell, "You got this, bro. If you win her over, I'll literally worship the ground you walk on." Everyone was staring intensely at her, waiting for her to nod. I mean, Ji Yuyan was a total catch, and he was being so incredibly sweet about it. Any girl would be swooning right now, right? But our famously ice-cold campus queen? She didn't even bat an eye. Her freezing gaze swept over Ji Yuyan, then over that massive bouquet of roses that was literally bigger than his head. And finally, it cut right through the massive crowd and landed dead on me. The second our eyes met, I looked into those pretty eyes of hers and read pure, undisguised impatience. A second later, with the entire school watching her every move, she finally spoke. But she didn't say a single word to Ji Yuyan. Instead, she looked right in my direction, furrowed those perfect brows of hers, and spoke with an unapologetic, absolute sense of entitlement. "Lin Feng, what are you just standing there for? Let's go home and cook. I'm starving. I want sweet and sour ribs. Extra sweet, light on the sour." It was like the entire world had just been put on mute. The screaming stopped dead in its tracks. Every single person's expression froze completely, like someone had just cast a mass paralysis spell on the courtyard. The guys who were laughing at me just a second ago, their jaws were literally on the floor, mouths wide enough to shove a whole egg into. Their eyes were screaming, "Who am I? Where am I? And what on earth did I just hear?" As for Ji Yuyan, who was still kneeling on one knee, that deeply affectionate smile on his face slowly froze, and then shattered entirely. His face flushed a furious, ugly shade of green, before slowly turning a deep, choked-up purple. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. I met her terrifying gaze, one that clearly said, "If we don't leave right now, I'm going to lose it." And let out a heavy, helpless sigh. Well, so much for my grand liberation. I pushed my way through the completely petrified crowd, walked right up to her, and smoothly grabbed the heavy backpack right off her shoulder. Yeah, I know. Yes, princess." After saying that, I pulled her along. Under the completely dumbstruck stares of Ji Yuyan and a few thousand students and teachers, we turned around and walked away, leaving behind that abandoned bouquet of roses, looking all lonely in the wind. A few petals scattered on the ground. On the way home, she didn't say a word the whole way. The two of us just walked, one after the other. The vibe was incredibly awkward. But for Ji Yuyan and the entire school, it was probably nothing short of a magnitude 8 earthquake. I could already picture it. The school forums must be absolutely blowing up right now. I could even write the headlines for them. Shocking. The simp of the century is actually the ultimate winner. The ice-cold school beauty publicly rejects the heartthrob, just to go home and eat her simp's cooking. Lin Feng, Qingxue suddenly broke the silence. Her voice was cool and crisp. That guy who just confessed was so annoying, she stated completely flatly. I almost burst out laughing. Good lord, Ji Yuyan chased you for 3 years, and he didn't even earn a name in your book. He just got slapped with the label, that guy. If he heard that, he'd probably have a heart attack right on the spot. The man chased you for 3 whole years, and you didn't even give him a basic polite rejection. Just straight up ignoring him? That's pretty ruthless. I gave my honest and objective opinion. Why would I say anything to him? I don't even know him. She looked at me in total confusion. She sounded so incredibly justified. Her logic left me completely speechless. Alright then, I guess pretty people always make sense no matter what they say. Once we reached our doors. Our apartments are right across from each other. I pulled out my keys to unlock my door. She followed me in like it was her own place, and just collapsed onto the living room couch, looking exactly like a boneless cat. I'm so tired. That last math question today was way too hard. She whined and grumbled. No matter how hard it was, you still filled up the whole page, didn't you? I took off my shoes and headed straight for the kitchen. I expertly tied my apron. The two of us practically grew up together. Our parents have been close friends for years, so we're basically family at this point. Her folks are always out of town for business, so she grew up crashing at my place for meals. You could say she was raised by the village, but honestly, she was mostly raised on my cooking. Lin Feng, I want an ice-cold Coke. The princess's order drifted over from the couch. Nope. Your time of the month is coming up. No cold drinks for you. I didn't even turn around as I grabbed the pork ribs from the fridge. But I want it. I heated up some milk for you. Go get it from the microwave yourself. Qingxue instantly went quiet. She was probably glaring daggers at the back of my head from the couch. I couldn't be bothered to entertain her. I just started prepping the ribs. Scooping them out to drain, I heated the oil and tossed in some rock sugar to caramelize. I tossed the ribs in to coat them in that rich color. The whole process was smooth as butter. Pure muscle memory. This is a skill I've perfected. Over my 10+ year career as her ultimate simp, her basic survival skills are practically zero. Leave her home alone for a day, and she could seriously starve herself sick. I am not kidding. In 8th grade, when I called in sick with a fever, she was left home alone. That night, my parents were worried and went over to check on her, only to find the little princess sitting on the couch, teary-eyed, munching on a bag of expired potato chips. She said she didn't know how to use the microwave, and didn't know how to order takeout either. Ever since then, I officially became her personal chef. Food is ready. Come and eat. Half an hour later, 3 dishes and a soup were served on the table. Sweet and sour pork ribs, tomato and egg stir-fry, stir-fried broccoli, topped off with a bowl of seaweed egg drop soup. Qingxue practically floated over at the smell. She sat down, picked up her chopsticks, and stared at the plate of ribs with sparkling eyes. Lin Feng, you're the best. She picked up a piece of pork rib, took a bite, and narrowed her eyes in pure satisfaction. I chuckled. Best, my foot. Even if I am, you shouldn't boss me around like a servant every single day. Oh, by the way, she said, as if suddenly remembering something. My mom just called. She signed me up for Jing University's summer camp. I'm going next week. I stopped shoveling rice into my mouth. Jing University? That was the top university in the whole country. With her grades, she was more than qualified to go there. That's great. Going to the capital to broaden your horizons, I said calmly. You're going too. Her tone made it sound like the most obvious thing in the world. Huh? I thought I misheard her. Why would I go? With my grades, if I went to Jing University's summer camp to be a security guard, they'd still have to check my ID. My grades weren't terrible. I was somewhere in the upper middle pack at first high. If I worked hard, getting into a solid tier 1 university was totally doable. But compared to an academic genius like her, who dominated the #1 spot all year round, that was like a firefly trying to outshine the moon. We just weren't in the same league at all. I don't care, she said, putting down her chopsticks and looking at me dead serious. Wherever you go, I go. I froze. Qingxue, stop messing around. This is your college application. This dictates the rest of your life. I looked at her sternly. I'm not messing around. She looked right back at me. Her eyes clear and stubborn. If you don't go to the capital, then neither of my worst comes to worst. I'll just apply to the Lanqiang vocational school next door to your house. I looked at her gorgeous face. It clearly said, I'm not discussing this with you, I'm notifying you. I suddenly realized a very serious problem. This precious little seedling I'd been raising. She didn't just grow legs and run. She had clearly planted her roots straight into my own backyard. And there was no uprooting her. That night, I couldn't sleep. Her words, wherever you go, I go, played on an endless loop in my head like a magic spell, echoing around and refusing to stop. I lay in bed, tossing and turning like a pancake on a griddle, my brain an absolute tangled mess. What is this? Is it dependence? Is it a habit? Or, didn't dare think about it anymore. Early the next morning, sporting 2 massive dark circles, I opened my door, planning to head downstairs to buy some breakfast. But the moment I pulled the door open, I saw her standing right there. She was sporting matching dark circles, clutching a college application guide in her hands. Staring at me with big, eager eyes. Lin Feng, have you made up your mind? I just rubbed my forehead. Princess, it's 6 in the morning. We still have days before the applications are due. I don't care. Tell me right now, where are you planning to apply? She was as stubborn as a little bull, refusing to back down even a single inch. Looking at her, I suddenly felt so drained. Qingxue, listen to me. I decided to just lay it all out for her. Your life is your own. You can't just keep revolving around me, and you definitely shouldn't mess up your future because of me. My life is you. She suddenly cut me off. Her voice wasn't loud, but every single word was crystal clear. It was incredibly firm. I instantly froze right where I stood. Wasn't that line a little too intense? Looking at her face, slightly pale from a lack of sleep, and those eyes filled with absolute determination. All the big lectures I had prepared completely vanished. I couldn't force out a single word. Fine, fine, fine. I officially surrender. I'll apply to a university in the capital, alright? Are you happy now? There are tons of colleges in the capital anyway. There's gotta be at least one I can get into. Worst case scenario, she'll be a top student at Jingda, and I'll just scrape by at some ordinary university next door. Hearing me say that, her eyes instantly lit up. A relieved smile broke out on her face. Then hurry up and go buy breakfast. I'm starving. I want soup, dumplings and soy milk. And just like that, she turned around and went back into her own apartment. As if that earth-shattering confession from a minute ago wasn't even said by her. I just stood there in the doorway, completely dumbfounded. So, me tossing and turning in pure agony all night, was as casual to her as picking out a breakfast menu? Seriously? Well, after that day, the buzz about me on the school forum didn't die down at all. In fact, it blew up even more. The video of that whole confession gate incident was uploaded online, and overnight, it smashed right past 1 million views. I, Lin Feng, went completely viral. They called me the king of the simps, the ultimate backup guy, and even a PUA master. They were slapping all sorts of crazy labels on me like they were free. But Ji Yuyan, on the other hand, he somehow became the internet's favorite victim, painted as this tragic, heartbroken hero who couldn't get the girl. And he didn't just sit back, either. He posted this massive essay on the forum. It was written with all this fake sincerity, hinting between the lines that Qingxue was being completely brainwashed and controlled by me. helpless, just waiting for someone to save her. He urged everyone to open their eyes, and not be fooled by a hypocrite like me. He even claimed he'd use his love to pull Qingxue out of the abyss. The moment this article dropped, it instantly put him on the moral high ground. Countless girls were moved to tears, and countless guys were filled with righteous fury. They were all shouting about joining the squad to save the goddess. Overnight, I became public enemy number 1. My dorm mates stared at the bloodbath on the school forum, all looking absolutely miserable. Feng, things are really blowing up this time. Fatty Zhonghao shoved his phone in my face. Look at this. Jiyu Yan even started an anti-Lin Feng alliance. I took a quick glance. Their slogan was, boycott PUA. Return our goddess. I almost spit out the bun I was eating. These guys have absolutely nothing better to do? I asked, completely speechless. They're not bored, they're jealous. Li Jie pushed up his glasses, looking dead serious. Feng, you're literally the public enemy of every guy on campus right now. Watch your back when you go out. Don't let someone jump you in an alley. Relax. I took another calm bite of my bun. Those losers? Even if 10 of them came at me, I wouldn't break a sweat. The words barely left my mouth when the dorm door flew open with a loud bang. Jiyu Yan burst in with 7 or 8 guys. Charging in aggressively, Jiyu Yan was leading the pack, his eyes totally bloodshot. Looking like he wanted to eat me alive. Lin Feng, you despicable, shameless piece of trash. What the hell did you do to Qingxue? He pointed right at my face, screaming at the top of his lungs. The room went dead silent. Fatty and the others were too scared to even breathe. I took my time, slowly swallowing the last bite of my bun. Wiped my mouth, and looked up at him. I made some sweet and sour ribs, I said, my voice completely flat. You want some? That little joke of mine was like throwing cold water into a boiling pot of oil. Jiyu Yan's face instantly turned bright purple. You dare joke around with me? He was shaking with rage. He jabbed his finger at me again and roared, Lin Feng. I'm warning you, stay the hell away from Qingxue. A guy like you doesn't deserve to be anywhere near her. I stood up. I was a good half a head taller than him, and looked down at him. Whether I deserve her or not is none of your damn business. One of his lackeys with dyed blonde hair immediately jumped in and started barking. Hey kid, you think you're tough, huh? Jiyu is doing you a favor by even talking to you. Don't push your fucking luck. Yeah, just a pathetic simp who cooks for women to get ahead, and you dare act tough in front of him? You better apologize right now, and get the hell out of Goddess Qingxue's life. A whole crowd of them were arguing, spit flying every which way. Fatty and the guys shrank back into the corner, too scared to even breathe. Looking like a bunch of sitting ducks. I just picked at my ear, finding all the racket super annoying. Are you done? I asked flatly. Jiyu Yan took a deep breath, forcing himself to look like the bigger person as he glared coldly at me. Lin Feng, let's make a bet. I know your type. All you care about is money, right? I'll give you 200,000. You leave Qingxue alone, and never show your face around her ever again. Whoa, Fatty and the guys gasped loudly, looking at me totally differently. 200,000, for students like us who hadn't even graduated yet, that was an absolute fortune. Feng, man, maybe you should just take it? Fatty leaned in and whispered in my ear. With 200,000, you could get any girl you want. I shot him a side eye and didn't say a word. Seeing me stay quiet, Jiyu Yan figured I was tempted. A smirk of pure contempt crept onto his face. What, not enough for you? Fine, 300,000. That is my final offer. Take the cash, and get the hell out of here. His high and mighty, throwing money around attitude honestly made me sick to my stomach. He suddenly let out a laugh. Jiyu Yan, do you really think money can buy you absolutely everything? Doesn't it? He replied, looking smug and completely self-assured. Yes and no. I stared right at him, enunciating every single word. Money can buy a lot of things, but it can't buy the fact that Su Qingxue will only eat the food I cook for her. What the hell does that mean? Jiyu Yan's face darkened in an instant. It means, I walked right up to him and patted him on the shoulder, dropping my voice so low that only the two of us could hear. While you're standing here playing pretend with your daddy's money, I've already made more on my own than you'll probably ever make in your entire pathetic life. So, take your sad little 300,000, and piss off. My voice wasn't loud, but the sheer mockery and disgust in my words stabbed into Jiyu Yan like needles. His pupils instantly shrank, staring at me in utter disbelief. What kind of bullshit are you talking about? Whether it's bullshit or not, you know the truth. I was done wasting my breath on him. Take your goons, and get the hell out of my dorm room. Don't ruin my sleep. With that, I just turned around, laid back down on my bed, and yanked the curtains shut, making it perfectly clear that they were dismissed. The dorm room instantly went dead silent. Everyone was completely stunned by my reaction. Jiyu Yan's face flushed from pale to purple, looking like a bruised mess. In his entire privileged life, this was probably the very first time he'd ever been publicly humiliated like this. And by the guy he looked down on the most, no less. A simp? Oh, very well. Lin Feng, just you wait. I'll make you regret this. He threw down a standard tough guy line and scurried away with his tail between his legs, taking his equally clueless lackeys with him. The dorm room door slammed shut. After what felt like ages, Fatty and the guys finally snapped out of it. Holy shit. Feng, man, you were so freaking cool just now. Fatty was the first to rush over, looking through the bed curtains with absolute worship. Bro, was what you just said true? Did you really make that much money? Lee J, our second oldest, leaned in too. I pulled back the curtain, looked at their three overly curious faces, and let out a helpless sigh. It was fake. What? The three of them yelled in unison, their faces instantly dropping. I was just blowing smoke to scare him. I rolled over. Alright, keep it down. Let me get some sleep. Honestly, I really was just talking out of my ass. I'm just a broke college kid. Where on earth would I get that kind of money? But in that moment, I just didn't want to lose face in front of Ji Yu Yan. But what I never could have imagined was that this little bluff of mine would actually come true not long after. And in a way I totally didn't see coming. Ji Yu Yan's little rescue the goddess plan hit a massive brick wall at my dorm. But he didn't give up. He changed tactics, deciding to target the people around Su Qingxue instead. His very first targets were a few girls from her class. Now, those girls were only casual acquaintances with Su Qingxue, definitely not besties. At most, they just walked to the bathroom together. But Ji Yu Yan was throwing cash around like crazy. Designer bags, the latest smartphones, high-end cosmetics. He was handing them out like free candy. In just a few days, those girls had completely become his inside women, whispering in Su Qingxue's ear every single day. Oh, Qingxue, just look at how well Ji Yu Yan treats you. He's so handsome, and loaded. And he's so devoted to you. Yeah, exactly. All Lin Feng can do is cook. What's so special about that? You could just hire a maid for that. Listen, as women, we eventually need to find a capable man to rely on. Qingxue, you really need to think this through. Later that afternoon, I went to look for Su Qingxue. I had just reached the door to their classroom when I overheard this entire speech. I leaned against the wall, genuinely curious to hear how she would respond. It was dead silent in there for a while, just as I started wondering if she was actually being swayed. Su Qingxue's cold, clear voice finally rang out. A maid's cooking, has preservatives, peefed. I barely managed to hold back a laugh. The girls inside were clearly dumbfounded too. Qingxue, what are you talking about? Besides, Su Qingxue continued, her tone completely devoid of any warmth. Who even is Ji Yu Yan? Can he make sweet and sour pork ribs? Does he know my ribs have to be glazed with rock sugar, and absolutely never white sugar? Does he even know that you have to put salt in first to bring out the juices when making my tomato and egg stir fry? Throwing out a series of deep questions like that left those girls completely speechless. He doesn't, Su Qingxue answered her own question. With a hint of disgust in her voice, she added, so don't ever mention him to me again. It's so annoying. After saying that, she grabbed her backpack and walked right out of the classroom, only to see me standing at the door. She froze for a second, then naturally handed her bag over to me. Let's go. Time to head home. I took her backpack and walked side by side with her down the tree-lined path on campus. What she had just said left me with a feeling I couldn't quite describe. Was I touched? Yeah, maybe a little. But honestly, it was mostly just a feeling of helplessness. After all this time, my role in her heart was just a chef who cooks good food. Su Qingxue, I couldn't help but speak up. Let me ask you this. If Ji Yu Yan ever learns how to cook, and cooks even better than I do, would you end up leaving with him? I regretted it the second I asked. Why did that question sound so incredibly jealous? She stopped walking, turned her head, and looked at me really seriously. She just stared at me for 10 seconds or so, giving me total goosebumps. Then, she very seriously shook her head. No, why not? I was genuinely curious. Because, she reached out her hand, and straightened my collar that the wind had messed up, her movements natural and intimate. He definitely wouldn't wash the dishes as clean as you do. Alright then. So apparently, I'm not just a chef, but also a full-time dishwasher. My entire worth in this life has clearly been figured out perfectly by her. The day to fill out our college applications arrived quickly. Su Qingxue and I went to the school's computer lab together. Under countless curious and gossiping stares, Su Qingxue didn't even bat an eye. She put down Qingxue University as her first choice. After she finished, she pulled up a chair and sat right next to me, staring at me while I filled out my form. She looked exactly like a strict supervisor. I was under a mountain of pressure. Under her death stare, my hands shook as I applied to a university in Jingcheng. Solid 211 University for Information Engineering. This was, based on my scores, the absolute best school and major I could aim for. Done. I clicked submit and let out a long sigh of relief. Su Qingxue leaned over, glanced at it, and nodded in satisfaction. Not bad. It's not far from Jingcheng University. It's only a 30-minute subway ride. I rolled my eyes at her. So, you basically chose your university based on how close it is to me, right? With the applications done, the long summer break finally began. Qingxue's parents were out of town busy with business as usual, so she naturally set up camp at my house. Every day was just eating, sleeping, binge-watching shows, and casually bossing me around to do this and that. I felt like I wasn't on summer vacation at all. I just changed locations to continue my shift as a full-time babysitter. One day, I was sweating buckets in the kitchen making lunch, when my phone suddenly rang. It was an unknown number, so I thought it was a telemarketer. I casually put it on speaker. "Hello, is this Mr. Lin Feng?" A polite, middle-aged man's voice came through the phone. "Yeah, speaking. Who's this?" "Hello there, my last name is Wang. I'm the HR manager at Phantom Tech. The thing is, we were looking at our backend and saw the entry you submitted for our company's online coding challenge. Your code's logic was incredibly clear, concise, and highly efficient. It left a really deep impression on our tech director. So I wanted to ask, would you be interested in coming to intern at our company?" Phantom Tech? I froze for a second. The name Phantom Tech sounded vaguely familiar. I think they're one of the country's top cybersecurity firms. Their technical expertise is pretty highly ranked in the industry. I'd signed up for their online coding competition a while back when I was bored, just to see how good my self-taught skills actually were. I've been obsessed with computers since I was a kid. I chewed through programming books on my own, and occasionally took on small freelance gigs for pocket money. I really didn't think much of it, and definitely didn't expect that a competition I entered just for fun would have their HR specifically reaching out to me. Manager Wang, I just graduated from high school. I haven't even started college yet. I tightened my grip on the spatula, feeling a bit awkward. True talent speaks for itself. Age and educational background have never been how we measure talent. Manager Wang sounded incredibly sincere. Our company only looks at actual ability. We're prepared to offer you an internship salary of 30,000 a month. And if your performance meets expectations, a full-time offer would start at $1 million a year. With no cap, I let out a sharp hiss, sucking in a breath of air. The spatula in my hand almost slipped right into the pot. 30,000 a month? And that's just for an internship? This has got to be a scam, right? Lin Feng? Who's calling? Qingxue had somehow sneaked up to the kitchen door. She tilted her head, looking curious. Some scammer trying to sell something, I mumbled back. Manager Wang clearly heard that over the phone, and frantically started explaining. "Mr. Lin Feng, I promise I'm not a scammer. We're a legitimately registered company. If you're worried, you can come visit our office in person. Our address is right here in the Tech Park, Building A, 28th floor." Building A in the Tech Park? That was a landmark, grade A office building in our city. It was packed with huge, top-tier corporations. I started to waver. What if it was actually real? "Tell you what, Manager Wang," I said after a moment of thought. "I'll swing by this afternoon to check it out." Great. We'll be ready whenever you arrive. I can send a car to pick you up, no need. I'll just head over myself." I hung up the phone, still feeling a bit dazed. Qingxue looked at me and blinked. "You're going to an internship?" "I'm just going to check it out first. It's probably a scam," I said while dishing out the food. "I'm coming with you." "Why would you go?" "To help you spot the scammers, obviously." She sounded so completely sure of herself. I couldn't argue with her, so I just nodded and agreed. After we ate lunch, we took a cab to the tech park and stood right outside Building A. Looking up at the massive glass skyscraper, I felt like a total country bumpkin visiting the city for the first time. Phantom Tech occupied the entire 28th floor. Walking in, it was a spacious, bright, open-plan office. Employees were hurrying about, their fingers flying across their keyboards. They were tossing around tech jargon I only half understood. This really didn't look like a scam operation. A guy in a sharp business suit spotted us and quickly walked over. "Hello there, are you Mr. Lin Feng?" "Yes, I am. Nice to meet you. I'm Manager Wang. We just spoke on the phone," he said, warmly extending his hand. "Welcome to Phantom Tech." I reached out and shook his hand. I still felt a little lightheaded, like I was in a dream. Manager Wang showed us around and gave a brief overview of the company's operations and future goals. Finally, he led me into the technical director's office. The director was a guy in his early 30s. He wore glasses and had slightly thinning hair, but his eyes were incredibly sharp. When he saw me, he didn't beat around the bush. He cut straight to the chase. "I've seen the code you submitted for the competition. It's beautifully written. I have a project on my hands that's hit a technical bottleneck. Any interest in giving it a shot?" As he spoke, he spun his laptop around to face me. The screen was packed with dense lines of code. I took a quick glance. It was a complex data encryption algorithm. To be honest, it looked pretty interesting. It completely triggered my deep-seated obsession with tech. "Let me try." I sat up straight and placed my hands on the keyboard. Qingxue stood quietly behind me, just watching. Minute by minute, time ticked away. The only sound left in the office was the crisp clatter of the keyboard. Manager Wang and the technical director stood to the side. They watched the code scrolling rapidly across the screen, their expressions shifting from calm to surprised, and then to absolute shock. About an hour later, I hit enter for the final time. Done. The technical director rushed over in an instant, gripping his glasses as he stared intently at the screen. He was muttering to himself, so that's how you solve it. You can actually do it like this. Oh my god, you're an absolute genius. He whipped his head up to look at me, staring at me like I was some kind of rare, exotic species. Lin Feng, forget the internship. I'm hiring you full-time right now. An annual salary of 1.5 million, plus stock options and a private company car. Just tell me, are you in? I, Su Qingxue, and Manager Wang, all three of us just froze in our tracks. That's against company policy, isn't it? Manager Wang whispered a cautious reminder. Rules are rigid, but we can be flexible. The technical director grabbed my shoulders excitedly. Lin Feng, you are exactly the person we've been searching for. As long as you're willing to join us, you can name your price. I looked at the frantic, ecstatic man in front of me. Then turned to look at Su Qingxue, who was standing there with an "I knew you could do it" expression on her face. Suddenly, I remembered the harsh words I had thrown at Ji Yuyan in the dorm that day. The money I can make on my own is more than you'll ever see in your entire life. I never expected the arrogant boast I made back then to actually come true. In the end, though, I still turned down the full-time offer. I haven't even started college yet. I couldn't exactly jump straight into a full-time job, but I did accept their internship offer. I signed an internship contract with ridiculously good perks. When we walked out of Phantom Tech, clutching that contract for 30,000 a month, I felt like I was floating. It felt like walking on clouds. Su Qingxue was walking right next to me. Her face was totally blank, but there was this unmistakable glimmer of pride in her eyes. I knew it. You're amazing. How did you know? I asked, genuinely curious. She shot me a look, sounding completely matter-of-fact. When you explain math problems to me, it makes way more sense than when the teacher does it. Anyone who can break down tough problems like that has to be a genius. Her logic was so flawless I couldn't even argue. When I got home and showed the contract to my parents, my goofy dad got so hyped he almost bowed to me on the spot. I told you my boy was destined for greatness. The Lin family genes pull through again. He grabbed my contract and flexed it in the family group chat all night, racking up endless strings of fire emojis and praises. The very next day, I officially clocked in at Phantom Tech. My job wasn't overly complicated. I was basically helping the tech director crack various technical roadblocks. Honestly, for me, these issues that looked incredibly tough to everyone else just felt like doing advanced high school math problems. It took some brainpower, sure, but it wasn't really all that hard. So, I started taking the bus every day from 9 to 5, living the quintessential corporate intern life. Meanwhile, Su Qingxue gave herself a little job too. She started bringing me lunch on the dot, every single day. She couldn't cook to save her life, so she would just flip through a recipe book every morning, order my mom around to make it, pack it in a thermos, and then take an hour-long bus ride to drop it off downstairs at my company. Rain or shine, rumors spread through the office pretty fast. People were saying the tech department's new genius intern had an absolute goddess of a girlfriend bringing him a loving lunch every day. At first, I tried to explain, telling them she was just the girl from next door, but nobody bought it. Eventually, seeing her standing downstairs waiting for me every day, with those crystal clear eyes reflecting only me, man, even I started to get a little lost in it. One afternoon, while we were eating in the little garden downstairs, an uninvited guest showed up. It was Ji Yuyan. I had no clue how he found out I was interning here, but the guy actually tracked me down. Decked out in head-to-toe designer gear and rolling up in a flashy red sports car. He instantly drew everyone's attention. Qingxue, he marched straight up to us. When he saw her taking a tiny bite of food right out of my bowl, his eyes practically spat fire with pure jealousy. What are you doing here? Did Lin Feng force you to come? Su Qingxue just frowned. She didn't even spare him a single glance. She just turned to me and said, Lin Feng, this fly is so annoying. Let's go eat somewhere else. Peeved. I almost choked on my food laughing. Fly. Ji Yuyan's face instantly turned dark with rage. Su Qingxue, do you have any idea who this guy really is? He is a total fraud. Just some kid fresh out of high school. There is no way he could get into Phantom Tech. He definitely used some shady tricks. Ji Yuyan was completely losing it, pointing his finger right in my face. He was yelling so loud that a crowd of my coworkers had already formed a circle to watch the drama. People around us started pointing, whispers buzzing through the crowd. Isn't that the heir to the GU group? Yeah, it is. Why is he fighting with our new intern? I think it's over that gorgeous girl who brought the food. Talk about a total train wreck. I frowned. I was just about to say something, when a voice called out from behind Ji Yuyan. Excuse me, what exactly is going on here? I looked up. It was Manager Wang. He spotted me, then glanced over at Ji Yuyan. He froze for a second. Mr. Ji Yu, what are you doing here? Clearly, they knew each other. Seeing Manager Wang, Ji Yuyan looked like he'd just found his savior. Manager Wang, you're just in time. Your company has definitely made a huge mistake. This guy, Lin Feng? He's just a fresh high school grad. A complete loser who only knows how to cook. How the hell did you let him into the company? He definitely faked his resume. I demand you fire him right this second. He sounded so self-righteous, acting like he'd just exposed the lie of the century. The gazes of my coworkers slowly turned suspicious. Manager Wang listened to his rant, his expression turning incredibly awkward. He looked at Ji Yuyan, then back at me. Finally, he cleared his throat. Speaking with utmost respect, he said to Ji Yuyan, "Mr. Ji Yu, I'm afraid you're highly mistaken. Mr. Lin Feng was personally invited by our Chief Technology Officer, and specially approved by the chairman himself as an S-tier core technical consultant. As for your demand to fire him," Manager Wang paused, looking totally caught in the middle. "I'm afraid we can't do that. Because, just yesterday, our company was fully acquired. And the person who bought us is Mr. Lin Feng." Those words from Manager Wang dropped like an absolute bombshell. The entire room went dead silent. Everyone was totally dumbfounded, eyes wide as saucers. They all snapped their heads toward me, staring like I was some kind of alien. The smug, arrogant smirk on Ji Yuyan's face froze instantly, cracking inch by inch, completely crumbling until nothing was left but absolute shock. He just stood there, jaw on the floor, sputtering weird noises from his throat, looking exactly like a duck getting strangled. "Impossible. That's absolutely impossible," he shrieked, his voice cracking. He was practically losing his mind. "Manager Wang, are you insane? He's just a broke loser. How the hell could he buy out Phantom Tech?" Honestly, I was just as confused. When did I buy Phantom Tech? How did I not even know about this? I looked at Manager Wang, my eyes filled with a million questions. Catching my look, he gave a dry laugh, stepped closer, and leaned in to whisper in my ear. "Mr. Lin, it's like this. Yesterday, a Mr. Lin fully acquired our company through an offshore account, and specifically appointed you as the top executive," the gentleman said. "His name is Lin Jiangwo." Holy shit, isn't that my goofball of a dad? Suddenly, everything made sense. That old man must have seen my internship contract, and figured out I was working here. So he just turns around and buys the entire company. This is completely insane. I always knew my dad was in business, but I thought he was just some small-time boss, worth a few tens of millions at most. But Phantom Tech? They're an industry leader. A full buyout would cost billions. You're telling me I've been living like a poor kid for over a decade, only to find out I'm actually a filthy rich heir in hiding? I stood frozen in place. It felt like my entire worldview from the past 20+ years was completely shattered in an instant. I absolutely do not believe this. Ji Yuyan was still standing there, screaming his lungs out. "They're all teaming up to trick me. This is all just a setup. Lin Feng, you liar. You think hiring a few actors for a cheap stunt will actually work? Let me tell you, not a chance in hell." Looking at his hysterical meltdown, I suddenly found it all so laughable. When a man is trapped in his own ego and delusions, it's pathetic that he can sink this low. "Ji Yuyan," I said calmly. He whipped his head around to glare at me, his eyes completely bloodshot. "Didn't you always want to know why Su Qingxue chooses to stay by my side?" I stood up, walked right over to her, and right in front of everyone, I gently took her hand. Her hand was so soft, with a slight, cool touch. Her fingertips hesitated for a split second, but then she squeezed my hand tightly in return. A bright, undeniable blush swept across her cheeks. It's because, when she was just a year old, I was the one changing her diapers. When she was 6, I was the one who taught her how to write her name. And ever since she turned 10, I've been the one cooking 3 meals a day for her. For over a decade, crying with her, laughing with her, staying right by her side without ever taking a single step away. That was me, too. I stared dead into Ji Yuyan's eyes, with a seriousness I had never felt before. "That shallow affection you bought with money and roses is completely worthless compared to my 10+ years of devotion. So pack up that pathetic ego of yours, and never bother us again." Those words were like a dull blade, twisting right into Ji Yuyan's chest. He stumbled backward a couple of steps, his face completely drained of color. The crowd around us glanced at our joined hands, and then at his shattered, defeated expression. Their eyes were filled with sudden realization, and a touch of undeniable pity. Oh, they're childhood sweethearts. No wonder they're so close. A bond like that doesn't just happen overnight. Man, I kinda feel bad for Mr. Ji Yu. He spent 3 years chasing her, but they've been meant to be since they were kids. Can't blame him for losing. And he wasn't just some lapdog after all. This is literally the ultimate childhood friends to lovers story. Amidst the whispering crowd, Ji Yuyan looked like all the strength had been drained from his body. He gave us one last look, his eyes boiling with pure resentment, jealousy, and utter defeat. Then he turned, scrambled pathetically into his sports car, slammed on the gas, and sped away in a total panic. The whole circus had finally come to an end. I watched his taillights disappear into the distance, but I didn't really feel any thrill of victory. Honestly, I just felt relieved. Let's hope that after today, now he'll finally back off. I looked down at Su Qingxue beside me. She was looking up at me too. Those usually cold, clear eyes of hers were now shining as if they held a whole sky full of stars. "Lin Feng," her voice was soft and gentle. "You're so handsome." I felt my face flush hot. I coughed a couple of times, feeling a bit awkward. Ahem. Not too shabby, just top 3 in the world. As soon as the words left my mouth, she suddenly stood on her tiptoes and gave me a quick peck on the cheek. The soft, warm touch carried a faint, sweet fragrance. I instantly froze in place, my mind going completely blank. Holy crap, she just kissed me. That's your reward, she said, blushing like a ripe cherry, keeping her head down, too shy to look at me. The coworkers around us erupted into friendly laughter and cheering whistles. I raised my hand to touch the spot she had kissed, looking at her shy expression. My heart started pounding like crazy. The precious girl I've been taking care of for over a decade. Looks like she's finally going to be mine. After this little official announcement downstairs at the company, my relationship with Su Qingxue quietly shifted. She was no longer that bossy princess who ordered me around like it was her birthright, and started learning how to care for people, how to look after someone. Except, her way of looking after me ended in disaster 8 times out of 10. Like the time she decided on a whim to cook me a meal and almost burned my kitchen down. Or when she saw I was tired from work and insisted on massaging my shoulders and nearly dislocated my shoulder blades. Or when she tried to copy those romantic dramas and knit me a scarf, ending up with something that looked like a fishing net. Even though her attempts were hilariously absurd, my heart felt incredibly warm. Meanwhile, I also confronted my secretly wealthy dad, subjecting him to a ruthless interrogation. Good lord, I had no idea. But once I asked, I was mind blown. Our family wasn't just rich. My dad, Lin Feng, built everything from scratch. He went from a small contractor to a real estate tycoon. His businesses are all over the country, and he's worth hundreds of billions. And my mom isn't just some ordinary housewife. She's a famous investor in the industry, managing funds that could shake up half the financial world. And me? I'm their only son, and their sole heir. I was completely numb after hearing all this. I yelled at my dad. You guys hid this from me so well. I've lived for 18 years, thinking we were just middle class. Do you have any idea how much I suffered to save a few bucks on bus fare? Biking to school every single day? My dad puffed on his cigar, looking totally innocent. Son, you can't blame me for this. You're the one who said you wanted to rely on your own hard work, and that you didn't want to be a useless trust fund baby. When did I ever say that? My mom elegantly took a sip of her tea. When you were 3 years old. Wow, you guys are unbelievable. Even after finding out my true identity, I didn't let it go to my head. After all, I've been living as a broke guy for 18 years. You can't just flip a switch on that kind of mindset. I still take the bus every day to work at Phantom Tech, except now, this company is actually 100% mine. It's a pretty surreal feeling. I've become the most mysterious guy in the office. Everyone knows I'm the new boss. Yet they see me squeezing onto the bus and eating at the staff cafeteria every single day, just like any regular employee. So, the rumors about me have gotten more and more outrageous. Some say I'm an undercover billionaire heir. Others think I'm the successor to some ancient, hidden family. There's even a rumor going around that I'm an alien tech observer. I just laugh it all off. I stick to my role as a tech consultant, burying myself in code day in and day out. Compared to being some overworked, domineering CEO, I'd much rather just be a quiet tech nerd. I leave all the day-to-day company operations to Manager Wang and the technical director. I only step in when they hit a technical bottleneck. Life feels like it's finally back on track. The only difference is, Su Qingxue and I are getting closer and closer. Just like any couple completely in love, we watch movies together, go shopping, and take long walks down the street. Most of the time, I'm the one taking care of her. But occasionally, she'll clumsily try to do something for me, too. Like when I'm pulling an all-nighter writing code, she'll just sit quietly right beside me and hand me a glass of warm milk, even though she usually overheats it until it burns my tongue. Or when I get sick, she'll panic and run around in circles, looking up a bunch of crazy home remedies online, just to cook me a pot of recovery porridge that tastes absolutely questionable. But I know she's trying her hardest to take care of me in her own special way. And that's more than enough. The day our college acceptance letters arrived, both our families got together for a big dinner. Su Qingxue got into Qingcheng University, and I got accepted into Qingcheng Information Technology University. Both schools are in the capital, not too far from each other. At the dinner table, my dad and Uncle Su got absolutely wasted, putting their arms around each other, loudly insisting we needed to set a wedding date right away. Su Qingxue and I just sat there next to them, turning as red as 2 tomatoes. That summer, the air was filled with sunshine, fizzy soda, and the sweet, sugary feeling of falling in love. I thought our future would just stay this bright forever. Until one phone call shattered all that peace. The call was from Ji Yuyan. His voice was unusually calm, almost carrying this weird, eerie amusement. Lin Feng, long time no see. Just spit it out. I frowned. I really didn't like this guy one bit. Can't I just chat with you for fun? He let out a light chuckle. I just wanted to tell you about a certain something. About what? About Su Qingxue. My heart instantly skipped a beat. What the hell do you mean? Ji Yuyan's tone was full of pure amusement. I just stumbled upon a very interesting little secret. Aren't you curious? Like why Su Qingxue's parents are always out of town, never giving a damn about her. Aren't you curious why she's so desperately dependent on you? So dependent that she literally can't survive without you? His words felt like tiny, sharp needles, stabbing right into my chest. It wasn't like I had never thought about these things before, but I always just assumed Uncle Su and her mom were just too busy with work, and that Su Qingxue was simply used to me being around. Just say what you want to say. Stop beating around the bush. My voice dropped, turning ice cold. Hey, what's the rush? If you want to know the truth, just come to the abandoned factory on the south side. I'll be waiting for you. And remember, you come alone. If you even think about calling the cops, or bringing anyone else with you, I can't guarantee I won't leak these interesting little secrets to the public. He hung up right after. I stood there, gripping my phone, my palms dripping with cold sweat. My gut told me Ji Yuyan was up to no good. It was almost certainly a trap. But, he mentioned Su Qingxue. I couldn't just ignore it. I glanced into the living room, where Su Qingxue was completely engrossed in her cartoons, and made up my mind. I had to go. I made up some excuse about an emergency at work, and rushed out the door. I didn't call the police. I knew guys like Ji Yuyan way too well. His ego was absolutely massive, and after I crushed it time and time again, his mind was completely twisted. If I backed him into a corner, God knows what crazy shit he might pull. But I wasn't stupid enough to just march in there completely alone either. I sent my dad a text, explaining the situation and giving him the address, telling him to bring some backup. But I told them to hold back and not make any moves yet. With everything set, I grabbed a cab straight to the abandoned factory on the south side. The place was totally deserted, reeking of heavy dust and rust. The moment I stepped inside, the massive iron doors behind me, clang, slammed shut. 7 or 8 punks gripping steel pipes crept out from the shadows, surrounding me completely. Ji Yuyan slowly stepped out from behind them, a sick, twisted smile on his face. His eyes were absolutely brimming with madness and pure hatred. Lin Feng, you finally made it. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Ji Yuyan, what the hell do you want? I glared at him, ice cold. What do I want? He acted like he just heard the funniest joke in the world. I don't want much. I just want you to get a little taste of the exact same suffering I went through. He waved his hand dismissively. The punks sneered and closed in. Beat him half to death. I'll take the fall for whatever happens. I knew right then, there was no talking my way out of this fight. I took a deep breath and clenched my fists tightly. I mean, I was no martial arts master. But taking down a few street punks? I could handle that. But just as I was about to make my move, a sharp, trembling voice echoed from the factory entrance. Stop. I whipped my head around. Su Qingxue was standing right there in the doorway. Her face was deathly pale, and she was gasping for air. Why the hell was she here? Ji Yuyan completely froze when he saw her. But then he broke into a hysterical, maniacal laugh. Ha 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 ha, Su Qingxue, I can't believe you actually showed up. This is just perfect. Today, I'm gonna send you 2 pathetic lovers straight to hell, together. He had completely lost his damn mind. Qingxue, run, get out of here. It's not safe. I screamed at her, but she just shook her head. She walked toward me step by step, stopping right in front of me, shielding me behind her frail body. She looked at Ji Yuyan, the usual coolness in her eyes completely gone, leaving only a freezing, bitter rage. Ji Yuyan, what do you think you're doing to him? What am I doing? Ji Yuyan laughed so hard tears came to his eyes. I'm going to destroy him. I'm going to make you watch. As the person you care about the most, begs for mercy on his knees like a dog. Don't you dare. Su Qingxue's voice was sharp, yet unshakable. Just watch me. Ji Yuyan's face instantly twisted into something hideous. Get them. Grab the girl first. The thugs exchanged a look, and walked toward Su Qingxue with disgusting smirks. My eyes nearly popped out of my head. I was just about to rush forward. But Su Qingxue did something absolutely no one saw coming. She pulled something out of her little purse. A remote control. She pressed the red button on it. The next second, boom, a massive explosion roared from behind Ji Yuyan. His flashy red sports car, parked at the factory entrance, instantly blew up into a massive fireball. The shockwave from the blast knocked everyone flat on the ground. The world seemed to go dead silent. Everyone just stared in absolute shock at the raging flames, and then at the girl holding the remote. Her face completely stone cold. Ji Yuyan was so terrified he practically pissed himself, collapsing on the ground with a massive wet patch spreading across his pants. Su Qingxue slowly turned her head, her gaze as cold as ice. She spat out every word like a hammer dropping right next to Ji Yuyan's ear. I will say this one more time. Do not touch him. Looking at her slender but unyielding back shielding me, I suddenly felt completely lost in a daze. The sweet, innocent little girl I had protected for over 10 years might actually be a terrifying, man-eating plant covered in thorns. By the time my dad rushed over with his guys, they were met with an incredibly surreal scene. A sports car, burned down to just its metal frame, sat in the clearing. A bunch of street thugs were slumped on the ground, crying for their mommies. The rich boy, Ji Yuyan, with his pants totally soaked, was cowering in a corner, trembling like a leaf. And my girl, holding the remote, looked like a completely unfazed queen, standing firmly in front of me to keep me safe. My dad was totally stunned. He pulled me aside and whispered, Isn't this future daughter-in-law of ours a bit too fierce? What else could I even say? I could only give a bitter smile and nod. The police arrived at the scene shortly after. Ji Yuyan and his gang of thugs were suspected of kidnapping and intentional assault. They were handcuffed and taken away right on the spot. Because she blew up the guy's car, Qingxue had to go to the police station to give a statement too. Before leaving, she shoved the remote into my hand and whispered softly to comfort me. Don't be scared, my dad will take care of everything. Watching her back as the police escorted her into the car, my mind was a total mess of emotions. It wasn't until I got home that I finally understood just how much weight the words, my dad will take care of it, actually carried. Uncle Su, the mild-tempered next-door neighbor who was always traveling for work in my memories, was actually the boss of a top-tier international security firm. The business under his name covered a wide range of things. There was legal security consulting, and quite a few special services that walked the edge of the law. Like, installing a special package on a client's high-end sports car. A self-defense security system with a one-touch self-destruct button. Uncle Su flew back from overseas overnight. The very next day, Qingxue walked out of the police station completely safe and sound. But the Ji family? Their whole world collapsed overnight. The Ji group was hit with a massive scandal, exposing a string of tax evasion and corporate bribery. Their stock prices nosedived right off a cliff, pushing them straight to the brink of bankruptcy. I knew damn well, this was Uncle Su's payback. It was the most brutal, direct way a father could protect his little girl. Turns out, Qingxue was never some unloved kid. She was just protected so well that she never had to show her claws. Uncle Su stayed away from home all year round. Because of the sensitive nature of his work, he had way too many enemies. He was terrified of bringing that danger to his family. When he first entrusted his daughter to us, he just wanted me to grow up by her side, to give her a peaceful, perfectly normal childhood. And I did exactly that. Though, he probably never imagined that his delicate little princess, under my care, would grow into someone totally hopeless at basic adulting, but a total badass with maxed out combat skills. Anyway, the whole Ji Yuyan drama blew over just like that. After his family went bankrupt, that guy vanished from our lives for good. Things finally went back to normal, but between me and Qingxue, something had fundamentally changed. We were no longer just childhood friends who grew up together. We were each other's greatest weakness, and each other's absolute armor. The new semester rolled around fast. We hopped on a train heading to Beijing together, and in that massive, unfamiliar city, we finally got a little place of our own. It was a huge penthouse that Uncle Su and my dad chipped in to buy, sitting right between our two universities. They claimed it was so we could look out for each other. I stared at the living room, spacious enough to throw a massive party. Then glanced over at Qingxue, who was giving me this smug "you're stuck with me now" look. Honestly, what else could I do but accept my fate? College life was way more chill than high school. I was studying a major I actually liked, occasionally dropping by the company to handle some tech issues. But honestly, I spent most of my time practically glued to Qingxue. She was still completely useless at taking care of herself, and I was still her personal chef and full-time nanny. But hey, we both loved every second of it. Sometimes I'd tease her, asking exactly when she caught feelings for me. She'd always think about it for a long, long time, before looking at me dead serious and saying, "I can't remember. It feels like, ever since I can remember, it's always just been you. Without you, food just doesn't taste good. I can't sleep right. Even the air loses its flavor. Lin Feng, you are my air, my water, my absolutely everything." Every time I heard her say that, I felt like all those years of playing her personal nanny were completely worth it. Who says I was just some simp? I was the one and only, absolute necessity in her life. And that was more than enough. Our story is just beginning. We still have a whole lifetime ahead of us. But I just know, as long as she's right here by my side, cooking her a plate of sweet and sour ribs every single day is exactly my idea of the most perfect, beautiful life I could ever ask for. Though, of course, if she ever learns to do her own dishes one day, that would be absolutely perfect.